So, Eugenio, normally when we start a project, we get a script.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, it was just a game that we played in this one. Alfonso, when he called me, he said, I want to do this film. It's a very personal film. I want to recreate a little part of my own, my own history. And I said, well, yes, it's great. Shooting in Mexico, period piece. It's amazing. Just give me the script. He say, well, no. I'm not, no, this is part of the game that we're going to play. I don't want to really give you a script. Even the script was written, and I really loved it when I read it months later. No? The whole idea was that he said, well, I'm not giving you the script because I don't want to speak about actions. I want to speak about subjects, For me, and for us, what we discuss is that the sets had to always say something more, and that we want to touch a social, political kind of another layer and speak about, the way the societies in Mexico, the position of the women in Mexican society, about being lonely, or let's say the pain of a broken family, or the moment where the family broke. So we talked more about that actual actions. We did had a list of sets, and we had. What we did had also was a director always available to speak long hours about basically, what he remind of those places. So Barbara will be with me talking with Alfonso for long hours with a research that she started, a historical research that was somehow a great tool for basically, let's say, play with what Alfonso remembered, what I remembered, and the historical research there. So it was kind of a very dynamic process. So that was the way we did it. And we started talking about really the little details. We didn't talk about the big sets at the beginning. We said, because we didn't know which will be, for example, built or not built. That was part of the process. Mm-hmm. He said, I want to shoot as much as possible in the places where the events took place. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously that was a lovely idea for the first 3 days. Then we'll just...
Then that was 1973, right?
Yes.
So things have changed.
In these 50 years, everything has changed a lot. His house was completely changed. The big avenue that you saw in Insurgentes, both of them, they're completely another, they're opposite to what they used to be. So we start talking about really little things, like small details about sounds, about brands a lot. What was the thing that he liked the most for eating, or the family would do, and that way we started.
Wow, it's just incredible how it's you can tell that it's such a personal story, and that was one of my questions for Barbara. Did he have photographs of his family home, or it began with your research and conversation?
Bueno, yo voy a contestar en español.
I'm going to translate her. Yes. So.
Eugenio va a traducir. Había muy poco material fotográfico de la casa, de la familia, muy poquito.
There was not really a lot of photographs. There were very, very few material from the family.
Obviamente del research salieron imágenes útiles para recrear una casa.
From the research that she did, there were some useful pictures that connect to what was inside of the house of Alfonso as well. Just because it was, and that's me. I'm going to say, because the research was so deep, and actually we went even to personal archives. So more or less middle class of the same neighborhoods would have similar things.
Pero en realidad la casa se creó de la interpretación de la memoria de Alfonso.
So the real thing is that the house and all the furnishing was created through the memory of Alfonso, through those long conversations. So he would say, for example, he would say there was this checkered tile in the garage, and he would say, I remember it was red and yellow. So so we would bring some things and just to speak about what it was. But on the meantime, we were looking for locations. So we really walked the neighborhood or the neighborhoods around that. So he would be talking about, how important was the flavor. And then he would point out something, saying, that was the tile, that's the tile. Like crazy, and people will just be like that. So we would just go and see, okay, what is this period from? And then we try to we try to make things in the house, for example, the same way that was done before. We had non-professional actors, most of them. So we didn't want to go to a soundstage, even though we knew that the house was part of the heart of our film, and because we shot in chronological order, the first shot of the film, it's in the house, and the last one is there. We shot 19 weeks, so the house had to be up and running for too long, and so there was an option of going to a studio. The original house was completely changed, so then we said, what we do? And we decided that we needed some bricks and plaster and real materials, even though we had some tricks for shooting it better, like movable walls or guillotine walls that would go through a slot in the roof. So we got basically a house that was slated to be demolished. So now the house is 12 apartments. It's not existing no more. It's a shame. But we went there and we basically reinforced. We took engineers to reinforce the structure, and we strip out all the walls, and then we started again.
Y rezamos porque no temblara.
And yeah, we were praying because Mexico City is a very seismic.
I was thinking about that. Yeah.
So meanwhile we were reinforcing, we were like kind of worried about that. But then we got, for example, those tiles. I'm going back to the example of the tiles. So we didn't want to fake them. So we had to find somebody that would make those tiles that actually were made on the 30s, because the original house, So we found this 80 years old man that will basically do every tile by hand, like. Now he said, well, we're gonna deliver it in 8 weeks. I said 12 weeks. Let's give him. Obviously, it was 20 weeks. It was. But we had the real things that we wanted. Some other part, and Barbara did a fantastic job in that. Is that, it's hard to deal with the memories of a director, just because.
Especially because they often change their mind.
Of course. But he said we want to anchor pieces. I want some pieces that really belong to my family. Obviously, 50 years later, those pieces are destroyed. Some of them are really destroyed. We just took some of the artwork and some of the frames, and Bárbara.
Bueno, nuestro equipo de carpinteros, de decoración, pues tuvieron que rehacer, ¿no? O sea, arreglar hasta el último tornillo de muchos muebles.
We had a big team. Well, she had a big team of carpenters in the set decoration department that was based. They were basic, and painters. They were great too. So they were basically remaking all these things, because sometimes she found a furniture that was not useful. Even if it was in their family, basically it was those furniture that you just move and start breaking. So she had to remake all of those things. So it was a very interesting process.
Bueno, y cuando Alfonso no lograba describir muy bien lo que el mueble o la lámpara o lo que quería, lo dibujaba.
Yeah, when Alfonso didn't know how to express with words how was the shape of the furniture or something like that, he would just make a drawing like this, and he said, "It's like that." No, like
My sofa was like,
no, like and
my lamp was like,
So Barbara started saying,
Done.
Okay, yes, good. No, like
okay,
that.
okay.
So, but at the end, it just, I mean, it could be, to tell you the truth, if I think of that now, it could be a very desperate process, but it was not actually, because we really decided to play the game, you know, like.
Cuando Alfonso entró al set, fue muy conmovedor, porque vio su casa.
Yeah, when Alfonso went into the set the first time, dressed, it was very moving. It was one of those moments that you will always carry in you know, when you're of your stories of doing film.
Oh, that's so special.
Well, you know, it's hard to follow up on that. I mean, it's because you've rolled all of our questions into one.
I'm sorry about that. I'm a mess. I'm always a mess.
I'm so
talking.
grateful. No.
Shit.
There's more. The streets. The streets.
I mean, yeah, we have to. We're not going to let them off the hook here, you know, because to look at the movie, you don't. I never thought for a second that I wasn't watching a real experience in memory. I never thought of it as, well, that was built, or this is the real place. It's just seamless and emotionally so appropriate. And there are moments that I mean, that party at the home is just extraordinary. To see that again, I just go, oh my God, because I believe it. As crazy as it may be, I really believe those people and I believe that environment. And getting to that point with someone, had you worked with Alfonso before?
Well, no, not as a director, as a producer. He produced 4 films that I've done. He produced Pan's Labyrinth and a couple of films.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
So, and he had obviously always kind of a creative comment as a producer, but he also is a director, so he gives the space to the directors, even if they're not very well known. You know, like he always obviously give them the space and time. He always make this little comment. You know, that little comment. But no, I haven't worked with him. And actually, I think we really enjoyed, all of us, the process of solving the puzzle of how we're gonna make this film. You know, like what was built, what was built on location, what was a location, what was this house, which actually is I would say a hybrid of a real location and construction, and so all of that was, you know, kind of a very rich process, you know, like. Obviously, there was some bumps on it, when we talked to the producer. Luckily, Alfonso was obviously a producer, and with me, when we said, okay, the location, we went to, for example, for the street,
right?
You know,
the
big avenue. We said, okay, well, let's go to the place where that happened, no? So there was no remain of anything there. Then let's find another place where we can shoot this street. Let's find another location. First of all, another spot on that same avenue, so we can, no, there was nothing. Then another location that we can dress up. But then it was very obvious that because we wanted a very precise recreation of the period, then we had to build it. So I remember when we decided to build it, it was kind of a, yes, let's build it. Why not? No. So then we had to
before the abject horror kicked in.
Explain that to the producers and explain them why we wanted to really build it. You know, like, and then what they say, well, let's make an exercise of what will be on camera, like physical, and what will be digital, and I said yes. So we started to do this thing. So we came out with this information 3 days later, saying, well, we need to build this set, which is 2 blocks long, with crossing streets up to 6.5 meters, physical. So we can have, you know, this cars circulating and these characters and all the set dressing of the business. For us was the most important was not the street. It was that street represented one of the worlds that collide in Mexico City, which is still happening. You know, you have that represent the modernity. You know, like so you have now in Mexico City those sort of very modern areas, and then some really, you know, slums like that with no service at all. So we really wanted to play the tension in between the contrast of these worlds. So it was. So we said, well, we need this amount of money, you know, to make it.
How'd that go?
And then Alfonso said, okay, yes, but how are you going to do with the background and the upper part if you're going to do it digital? And probably we're not going to do it in Mexico. We're going to do it, you know, in this case we did it in England, right, in London. So we said, well, we can provide a lot of designs and try to, and we just said at the end, why if we keep the art department in the post-production? So we kept the art department for some months,
Right.
in order to provide the visual effects company of every design and texture that it would complete our set. So that was kind of a big fight in a certain way, you know, like they're not used to that,
No,
like,
they're not.
and it's so unusual. But for us was very important also to do that. That was part also of the pieces of the puzzle that we needed to solve, you know.
Well, because you have such a personal film, and you guys maintain ownership of the vision through post, and that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be just outsourced. And that's to your credits.
Well, all of this is really changing very fast. You know, our craft is. I really love to play also with miniatures, and I admire the way, for example, Nathan plays.
Yeah, you should hook
that.
up with him in his garage.
I mean,
you know,
it's
you guys can
great.
do all sorts of
I
things.
would love to do that, and then keep the whole department to the post-production. No, but that was kind of a good learning for me. And I think that for Barbara too. Barbara is also a designer. She designed films right now, and she just came to do set decoration because we are a team that worked for many, many years. Like we did, we learned together this thing.
That's important.
So, what I wanted to say, I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, I know what to say. Thank you.
Yes.